Hi, everyone. My name is Avery Brenna Crumrine, the author of Intention into Action, and welcome back to The Follow Through. So, today's episode is going to be absolutely incredible because I'm joined by someone who has played a huge role in my own journey, both personally and professionally. My mom, Stacey Lauren. Now, if you've listened to this podcast, then you probably heard me mention her a lot before. You've heard me talk about the Future of Leadership event. You've heard me talk about stories growing up around entrepreneurship. And over the last month, you've probably heard me mention that she's been writing a book. Well, she has officially finished her book. And so I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to sit down and have a conversation, not just about writing the book, but about what it takes to actually follow through on something that you've wanted to do for years. And so my mom has already accomplished so much in her career. She's actually built and scaled a business to over 35 million. She's spent years helping people in speaking, leading. She's the founder of Do the Thing and the Billion Dollar Impact. And so from the outside, someone might assume that writing a book might have been easy because of everything she has accomplished. But what I got to watch over the last few months was something completely different. I watched someone who had all the experience, all the knowledge and the stories, and still have to fight through the same doubts that so many people listening have right now. And so I think that's why this conversation matters so much. Because resistance doesn't just disappear when you're successful, it just changes. So today, let's talk about that. Not just writing a book, but what it takes to actually follow through. So, Mom, welcome to the follow through.
Wow, that was so true. That was so good. Hello. Hey, everybody. So excited to be here. For the record, Avery would not interview me on her podcast until I finished my book.
I just feel like it would have been like such a momentous story if we waited, you know? Like, I
Yeah.
understand, like, my whole thing is don't wait, but it's like you were a month out from finishing it. You were 1 month away from having this manuscript complete. And so I thought it would have been so special to be able to talk about the process. Obviously, I want to talk about the process before the start of the book and everything. But that's why I was super excited for this specifically.
Yeah, and it was one of the things that had me excited to actually finish the book, knowing I'd get to come on your podcast. We get to talk about it. And what's so cool is I just finished it this week. So it's still like all fresh in my mind. And then I just realized we even have the podcast episode on the Do the Thing podcast where you literally got me to like take out a Google Doc and we started the process then where I didn't hire you yet to like help me write the book, but we just were like, I was like telling you I really wanted to write it and you already were helping me so we could almost like maybe share back that video because that was really fun too.
Yeah, that was so fun. I actually completely forgot about that. So I was actually on the Do the Thing podcast, and I think like the last 20 minutes were like, okay, let's start your book. And we did this all in the podcast. So if you go to the podcast, I'll like link the podcast at the bottom of this. But if you go to the podcast, you can literally see us starting her book. And now it's done.
Done.
So it's like full circle right now.
Yeah, it was so fun.
Okay, so I'd like to start before the book, since
Okay.
you have done so many successful things. I've watched this kind of as an outsider, kind of on the inside since I've grown up around this. But I want to talk about your first business. I mean, oh my gosh, $35 million. Dollars. Like that doesn't just happen. So I would love you to walk me through like how you were able to pursue that. Was this a dream of yours to become an entrepreneur, to build something so big and scale it? Or if it kind of just happened.
Yeah, it's funny that we're starting here because I think a lot of times what I about with people is it's called life assets. I actually learned it from one of my coaches, Dr. Amelia Case, who is funny. She's in the Do the Thing playground now. But she talks about how everything that we do kind of like naturally leads into the next thing. It's almost like having these transferable skills. And so I started my like career selling books door to door. And I have to bring that up because it was those like principles and those skill sets that then got me to build and co-hone and run this business. Because had I not had that like opportunity to knock on doors, and I know that's what's so fun about us having that shared experience both together, and then also that's what kind of your story is too, is like learning how to just like talk to people without the fear of them saying no, without being able to, like all of that stuff. It leads into everything and it almost leads you to be able to do anything that you want. And so your dad actually, he was working with a company at the time. It was a staffing company, but more of like a labor hall kind of thing. It's hard to explain, but it was a different kind of setup. And when he was quitting that company, I happened to just also say, why don't we just open up our own business? And it ended up being completely different than his business that what he worked for, because it was ours is more staffing, full service centered. But there was that moment where I was like, okay, how many people, because it's staffing. So it was like, how many people do we need to place in order to pay our bills, basically. And then once I got that number, then I went out and, went door to door, not to like doors, but like to businesses and construction sites and things like that, because we had a primary focus was construction staffing and just basically would go out until I got people jobs. And that's how it started. And so it started with a very simple, like the same principles that we learned with door to door, which is just how do we actually do the thing, without the fear of people saying no, without stopping, without quitting. Yes, are there moments? I mean, just even right before this, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm exhausted. My dreams are so big right now that I'm like trying to catch myself up. So, yeah, you're definitely going to want to give up no matter what you're doing. When your dreams get bigger, there's those moments. But when you have that principle of just knowing that that's part of the job, that's part of the process, and then realizing that you're so tapped in to who you are and what you want that nothing stops you, and that's where it begins.
I love that it started with door to door. So, for those of you who haven't read my book, my mom and I actually grew up going door to door. We both actually, my mom was so supportive of me. She was all in when I started my first business, she was so involved. When I did Girl Scouts, she was so involved. So we ended up actually doing Girl Scouts, where we were doing like door to door. I set a goal to hit 1,000 boxes. And so, um, and we even went business to business. So it's
Yeah.
like so fun that that's how it started. And so that's how like how I really learned kind of firsthand of being put in that kind of situation. So I think that's really powerful. And so I'm really curious is personally like when you're looking back now, do you think writing a book really challenged you in a different kind of way than building a business? Because I feel like building the business, it was more maybe logistical, getting like a numbers issue, maybe the fear of rejection when going door to door. It's a kind of a different kind of resistance than putting yourself in a position to write a book. So I'm curious what you think about that.
Yeah, it's such a great question. So, yeah, when you're doing a business, you're like almost like getting to leverage other people's support, and it's almost like you look for getting the best in other people, and that's how you're able to scale and grow and take something from like 0 to 35 million, and then I'm sure to hopefully at some point I'll know what $1 billion is like, but it's because you can't do it alone. You have to do it with people. You have to be able to leverage other people in a way that's like their best skill sets and then unite together around this goal of the business. Whereas your book, that's you. Like you were my guide. You helped me, every time I got stuck, oh my gosh, you were just amazing throughout the whole process. But it's got to come from my story, like if you want it to be real. And that's what I love about how you teach people to get their book out is you're like, this is coming from you. It's like, whereas a lot of people that are doing book offers now, they're doing it through AI, and yours is like real genuine. You're getting us to express ourselves and using it as an outlet in whatever way we want. And so I think that was the biggest differentiator was this is like me. And it's also like another way of putting myself out there where I'm judging myself. I'm like, is this even good? Oh, I feel like I'm all over the place. When I'm writing it, I'm like, I feel like it's all over the place because I didn't actually do the actual formal outline because I used mine as an outlet for our dog passing away. And I decided to just let myself express the book in the way that it was meant to come out. And I'm excited about it because I do feel like it came out of me. I don't know. I haven't read it back. I don't know if it makes sense to like a normal person. Although I did text it to you every chapter and you were like, "Oh, this is good." So that gave me, more excitement around it. But yeah, I think that was the biggest difference with the book is it's all you. It's coming from your story.
Yeah, well, you're putting like your experiences and your own perspective, like your heart. especially in yours, you're putting like your whole like heart into something that people can just hold in their hands and read. And so it's a really special kind of vulnerability that you're really stepping into. And I'm curious if that vulnerability kind of surprised you, either when you just started and like felt that kind of pick up where now you have it done, or even in those 5 years when you were like, I really want to write a book, and then you had all those different drafts happen, if you felt that as well, or if it felt kind of special or different this time.
Yeah, it was such a wild experience because, like as, our dog Sweetie had passed away and it was that moment when, I remember looking at you. This is sad. This is like really sad, but I remember looking at you and she's still with us, on the, there. And I just was like, we can't wait. Like we have no idea what's going to happen to us, like she was fine one day and then the next minute she had passed away. We had no idea, you know? Oh my God, we're both gonna be crying on this podcast. We're both gonna be crying. And so, I mean, we had a cancer scare with her, like, a few months before. But then I got her radiation and then they said she was fine. She even got a certificate, that it was like clear. And then, so it was just so shocking because we had just gone through that fear and then it went away. And so, um, yeah, I don't know. There was that moment where, I mean, I teach people don't let your dreams die in the graveyard. I literally did a webinar on it, and here I am. This book has been something I've been wanting to do. And then I think the other thing was I got to see what you got to do with your book, and like we're both at that gifting suite. You have this really cool book you're able to have people sign and they're taking pictures of. It was just exciting to like be a part of watching that, And so when it came time to me writing it, yeah, I just like let it out. Like, and it was a way of me grieving. And like with those, some chapters I'm crying, other chapters I'm laughing, and then I'm like kind of piecing it together. And then the other thing about this is like those 5 years, the reason why a book was so hard to write, and I know you noticed this too with your book, so that was great that we were able to connect in this way, is we're busy doing the thing. And so the story is like evolving and changing. It's not like we're writing about something that is like kind of like static and like it's done and we're looking back and reflecting. It's actually coming alive like in real time. And even though I've been teaching my book's principle, which is a people party system, I've been teaching it now for several years. It was like kind of like birthing in new ways. Like the people party palooza came from that. And I think part of it was as I was writing the book, like I'm like, I could do a people party palooza and have everyone's party showcase. And then I'm like, oh, now I got to write about that. And then I feel like there was like several other things that happened that I felt like I kept needing to like write about. But at some point, you got to stop, like, you got to stop writing and because it's never going to get done. Just even like last night, we were talking about this whole other way. I had this whole other idea of a way to do this fundraising thing that I'm doing. I'm like, oh, people can make money while they're raising money. And then I'm like, I need to add that to the book. And then I just decided this morning, I'm like, I'm not, because that book is never going to get out and Avery will also kill me. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think it was also super cool because I got to watch this from a perspective that most people didn't. Not even just as your daughter, but like watching you go through like the whole process off like from the outside. Like there were days where it like flowed really well. You're like, I'm gonna get a chapter done in like an hour or two, right? And then there were days where you're like I can't, I don't have the motivation or I'm not feeling it, right?
Yeah.
And so when we're looking back on like actually writing the book, what do you think was like the hardest part of the entire process? Was it really that point of like, when do I stop?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
when is it done? Is that what was the hardest part? Because that's what I'm hearing, or at least that's what I'm like interpreting from you being like, because it is happening in real time. My book was the same way, where it's like, oh, like I could add this and this and this would be
Yeah.
great, but it's like, when is this book complete and ready?
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a good point. Well, it's funny because you teach people to use an outline, and I understand why now. Because
Thank you. Thank you.
because that was one of the biggest problems was I did not have an outline. I just was writing it, and so then I'm like, like as I'm like writing, and I'm on chapter like 15, and I thought I was going to be done because I mean I really didn't want to have more than
We
15
said
chapters.
15
Yeah.
chapters, and then she's like, "Oh, I gotta write about this
Yeah.
and this."
And so that's the problem when you don't have an outline, then you realize, oh, I'm missing like really key important things. And then that was like the other big thing. I remember even asking my group, the people in the playground membership, because I didn't put a couple of my frameworks. I have teach one thing, which is money grows on trees, which comes from my door-to-door days. I teach about life assets using Dr. Amelia Case's, methodology where I honor her with it. And then I also teach, what is the third thing? Open the spider web, which is like a core part of my framework. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't put it in there. And everyone's like, you got to put it in there. So then I'm like, okay, here we go. We got another chapter. And so, yeah, I think that was the hardest part was thinking that you're missing something. And actually the same thing that happened this morning when I was thinking about our conversation yesterday, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I could add this whole other thing. Like I had this huge epiphany and unlock. And I just said, no, there has to be a point that you have to just turn it off and just realize it's done and it's the way that it's supposed to be. And if I want to do a part two, I'll do a part two.
I am so glad that you made that identity shift because I feel like as you got further into the manuscript, you started like talking differently. I feel like in the beginning, you were like, if I finish, like if
Hmm.
this happens, if I can get this done by this, and then it was like, it kind of shifted at some point to like when it's published.
Yeah.
When I'm gonna have this out into the world. Do you think we can send this? Like it was more of an expectation that now this book is like happening. And so I think that's really interesting because a lot of people think like following through like changes the outcome, right? You have a book or you don't have a book. But I think it changes your identity first because you stopped seeing yourself as someone who was trying to write a book and then you became someone who was writing one. And so then you're someone who finishes one because now you have a finished book. But did you notice that identity change throughout the process?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I think like a lot of it has been, I've been really inspired by you, watching you get your book out there. And because I mean, I've seen other people write books, but I've never seen or lived with that process, And so you wrote the book, and then I don't even know how long it was, like it had, like, we found out the book came out when we were in New York doing that event. And that was exciting. We all got to celebrate. We're at the table, I remember, with Kim and Michelle, and we all bought your book right there and we're like celebrating about your book. And then it already became international because Michelle lives in Canada. So that was exciting. And then like literally like what, I don't even know how long, but very short after that, we're in we're in like the Oscar gifting suite, and you're
Yeah, it was
giving
really
it
quick.
really quick. And then I actually took your book to like some TEDx event where I got a booth and I was able to pass out your book. And that was really fun. And then oh, then when you're speaking, you've got your book out there and everyone comes over and you're signing it and just, I don't know, being a part of the process of like seeing you. And not even just you doing it, it's like the people were like effective massively, and just even like 2 days ago, we're at the LA Tribune event, Avery spoke. And, this little girl, I could just see she was like looking at Avery, and then Avery ended up signing a book for her, and her mom came over. And it was so sweet. And it's just like, that inspiration, it's a whole nother level that you don't even imagine without having the book. So I think it was an identity shift, but it was also like this like visualization of all the things that I'd have an opportunity to do, when I have the book. And also, I think it could even help people understand more about what I do, in an easier way. And so I think that was also really exciting too.
Yeah, I love that so much because it's like I wasn't ready, like I don't have a business. I don't have like all these I wasn't speaking on stages when I wrote mine, and so it was really like seeing the impact that something like that can have on people even when you don't feel ready. It kind of gives you the confidence to be able to do it even when you do feel ready because you have built so many incredible things. And so I think both the things that we talked around the book about like the perfectionism of, yep, this is absolutely perfect. Just being able to say at some point, you simply have to trust that you've given it your best and that it's ready. And I always think sticking to the outline that you wrote first is a great way. And then being able to go through it in the refining and not touching the chapter is the best way. And then also being able to know that you don't have to be ready to write the book. You can still impact people. You can still have that impact that you're wanting to have on the world without feeling ready or without having to build something like giant. I mean, even though you have. But
Yeah, but I think it's inspiring though to have seen it, and I think getting to witness that. And then also like we did the challenge, like the do the thing challenge on your book, like immediately after, and just being a part of that whole experience, it just got me more and more excited. And so I think that's what helped my identity shift was seeing you and then the power that it had too. I don't think I placed like as much of an importance on it I kept making excuses and saying like, "Oh, I'm doing enough. I've got this community. I'm helping people. I've got this program. I'm speaking. I'm hosting events." I think a lot of people do that. If we've met so many people that are doing really amazing things and they don't have a book yet, and it's shocking, right? And so, like, especially for you, because for you, you're like, why wouldn't you have a book? Like,
45 days, you could have a
yeah,
book. Yeah.
exactly. And so I think like I guess because we think writing a book is hard, and like me, like I've been honest about it. I had been before Avery, I'd invested more than $100,000, and I've probably tried to work with 6 or 7 people and spent like huge amounts of money to try to get this book, but nobody was able to get it out of me. And then all of a sudden I saw Avery write hers, and then I just was like, I've got it, like I've got it. And then I bought your offer at one of the auctions, and I was like, I got to do this thing. I got to do the thing.
I love it. I want to talk since you just brought up the auction. I'd love to kind of like pivot to the start of these billion-dollar impact auctions because that's giant, you know? And we also have the future of leadership coming up, and that's also incorporating the auction to help raise money for the philanthropy that I'm on the board for, Dance Marathon. And so this upcoming end of August, we're co-hosting it together to raise money. But I would love to hear, like, does it even occur to you that you're like changing people's lives like dramatically? Like you've raised over $500,000 going to nonprofits, entrepreneurs. Like, does this like, do you see this?
Yeah, it's really exciting. And I think I mentioned last night, I'm like, I think we're about to like solve all the world's problems with this one vehicle, because it's like I see it all really clearly. And what's really funny is the book is called Do the Thing, Have a People Party. And the model of the billion-dollar impact is a people party. So that's what's so funny about the whole thing is when you had reached out to me to see if I could support you in raising money for the Dance Marathon, which is the nonprofit you're on the board for. I just happened to be at the event that I was hosting in Ohio at Alex Sheen's event center because I said I would, which is perfect, right? Because I said I would want to raise money. And I was like seeing the model of like how I wanted to raise. I had said I wanted to raise $1 billion for charity. At the time, I thought I was going to be using the Do the Thing challenges. And then when you texted me saying, hey, do you want to support this? And then we then decided I was just going to try something there. And that's when I basically stood up on the stage in Ohio and said, who wants to make money right now? And everyone raised their hand. And I said, come to the stage. And then I auctioned off their offer to this room. And then at the time we were doing 50% went to the entrepreneur, 50% went to the charity. That model is changing depending on who we're working with. But it's a really powerful way because we're giving back to the person donating the offer. They're getting new clients, they're getting visibility, while also the charity or the cause is getting, funded. And so I see this being a regenerative model that when people learn the people party system and they learn how to gather people, anyone will be able to raise money for any cause that's going on. Whether you have somebody that's sick in your life or somebody that homeless that you want to help, or you want to create world change with, sustainability or climate change or animals or whatever your cause is, there will be no need to ever worry about it again because money does grow on trees when you have $1 billion impact party. And the future of leadership event is full of people parties too. And so I think that's what's exciting. It's like everyone used to see what I do and it's all this different stuff and they get really confused seeing all this stuff, but it's all the same, it's all this one framework. It's the people party. That's what's wild about the whole thing.
Yeah, even just because I read the book chapters chapter by chapter is like being able to then see it all of your like brain work on paper. It like really helped me understand more of
Mhm.
like your story of like how each thing kind of impacts the next,
Yeah.
how it's, I mean, like obviously I knew people parties. I did one at the last People Party Palooza, but now it's like even more fun going into this next Palooza, not only because of the beneficiary, but also because it's like I know maybe like the impact you want to have, what you want to teach people, like you want
Hmm.
to teach people how to do this for themselves. And I think that's really powerful, being able to have the regenerative model to raise more money in an easier way where we're also giving opportunities to people. I think that's really powerful. But so it's end of August. I'm going to drop the link. in the description. And so we'd love to have you there. It is free to attend. You're welcome to hop on and off throughout the 4-day event. And then we're ending in a studio in LA where we will actually be interviewing. I think you're interviewing me, right? And we're going to talk about the start of the charity auctions, I believe.
Yeah, the start of the billion-dollar impact. It's going to be incredible. I can't wait. We're bringing in like, I think we have 50 speakers and we're doing like 15 events during this week. And the basis of the people party is we're doing a lot of panel people parties, but they're not like your normal expert panel. They're people party panels. So it's like there's no pre-scripted questions. Everything's really alive in the room, and we're getting to like meet and access people that you normally wouldn't get to meet. And so it's everything from high level like CEOs that have like exited, 8-figure businesses to brand new entrepreneurs to students. Like it's going to be the wildest, coolest opportunity to be in one room with like everybody that wants to just make change in the world, and be able to create this billion-dollar impact while doing it through community and connection and collaboration. And it's going to be so cool. And, really creating a deeper purpose in our lives. Because I think so many people have this like void of, missing I mean, I've heard a lot of people say, depending on who it is, like dead, the feeling dead inside, or like not having any kind of like extra purpose or fulfillment. And that's what we're doing through this system is we're giving everyone the opportunity to be in this space together where we're like creating something bigger than any of us could ever even imagine. It's really cool.
Yeah, even just you talking, it's like really hard for me to like kind of there is so much to talk about with you. And yes, you're my mom, but it's because like we've done so much. Like I want to speak about the street interviews. I want to speak about the comfort circles. I want to speak about the challenge. I have so many things that I want to dive into. And so I think we need a part two. So
Yay!
I'm inviting you.
Yay!
I'm like, we need to already like to like because there's so much good stuff, like you've done so much and then also seeing it from a perspective of me watching you watching me kind of and then all of this kind of blossoming into entrepreneurship um and what I've taken from that. And so I think everything is just so powerful about the connection that we have.
Yeah, it's so cool. I don't remember which call I was on like four people parties today with different people. And one of them was saying that that's what they love about watching our relationship is that, we're like inspiring each other and we're both at the same level with like the things that we're doing. And it's been really, really incredible. And then I want to just give a shout out for Avery's app because that was the other thing that really helped me was posting it in the follow through community. Like every time I wanted to do a chapter, I would post it. And then if I didn't do it, I'd be like, I didn't do it yet. But at least even the acknowledgement of seeing it and you could see your intentions really clearly, what you're doing and what you're not doing, which is great. And then you have people in there supporting you as well. So that was also another piece that really helped me with my book was having that extra kind of like set of accountability in there.
Well, you also inspired me to start my productivity calls because you were like, I need you to hold me accountable and be like just sit there while I do it. And so we ended up speaking on that on one of the monthly calls and so we do the weekly productivity because you wanted help with your book, you wanted more accountability with it. Now everybody loves it, so it,
They
it worked
love
out
it.
perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody loves it. They're using it for like all kinds of things too. Like some people are using it for their book, which you have a lot of book people in your group, but then some people are using it even for outreach calls and just different things like that. The other thing that's really cool is Avery's the one that helped birth Do the Thing with creating the dare images that I use for the Do the Thing challenges. And so it's been fun now that you're in the community and you're doing the challenges because for a while, you were the one that was creating it. And now I remember always telling you there's thousands of people doing stuff because you like got them started by creating this like perfect visual. And so it's been so fun having you participating in the different challenges and even we've created two challenges together, which has been really fun. And I'm excited because we are marking the very first time Avery will be doing the Find Your Voice challenge, which to me is the kind of like foundational Do the Thing challenge. So I can't wait when we do part two to hear like what it was like before and after the Find Your Voice challenge because a lot of people, like when they're in their head and they have to think they have to plan or over prepare and they do the Find Your Voice challenge, it transforms everything about how we get to interact and not ever thinking that we have to be something or like look a certain way. It gets us to be messy. And so that's also super exciting and coming up soon.
Yeah, I'm super excited because yeah, I really was behind the scenes for the first like 5 or 6 years of Do the Thing. And so now being able to be in the calls and part of the community and everything that you guys are doing, it's just really amazing to me. It's really inspiring to be around people like that. I know that's your whole message, being around people with a shared goal. And so I'm really feeling the impact of that. But even just like talking about the charity auctions, the book, the future of leadership, the Find Your Voice challenge, none of that happened because you just thought about it, right? It happened because you turned intention into action. And so you really followed through on an idea that you had. And so all those opportunities happened after you followed through. And I feel like so many people are waiting for life to just hand them an opportunity that they'll feel is like just a giant opportunity, right? And it's going to change their life. We've obviously seen the opposite, and the opportunity usually shows up because you finally decided to move, right? You're like the queen of messy. You're the queen of showing up in a shower cap and just moving forward anyways, right? And so for the person that's listening today, let's say they have a book that's been on their heart or their mind for the last 5 years, or they have a business that they want to start, or they have a podcast they want to start, or anything. If they're in the middle of something and they're stuck, if they're in the end, overthinking about what people will think about, what would you say to them to get them into action?
Yeah, it's such a great question because so many people are stuck and don't realize that a lot of times it's just by being in the right group with people that have the same goal. And so that's what I would say is whatever your goal is, whether you're wanting to write a book, you're wanting to start a podcast, a business, or you want to achieve $1 billion of impact, whatever it is, it's like look around you and see who you're with. You know, people talk about the average of the 5 friends that we're with, and that is all good and great. And there's also figuring out what your goals are and making sure you're in that group with the goal. And so that's why like I'm so excited that you started your intention into action community because I think that's a goal that people can do. I have a Do the Thing playground, you know, which is fun. We're able to all get together and go live and do events and we're creating $1 billion of impact together. And a lot of people, it's great because a lot of people are in different groups. It's not just one. We're kind of like playing with each other and then every group kind of brings out different sides of us and gets us to achieve everything that we want. So that's what I would say is just look and see what rooms you're in, what groups you're in, and join.
I love that. Well, Mom, thank you so much for being here today. I am so
Oh.
proud of you, not only because you finished the book, but because I really got to watch what it took to get there. And I got to see the moments where it would have been easier to just put it off, where you second guessed yourself and convinced you could have waited, but instead you kept showing up. And so I'm so proud of you. So if you're listening today, I hope this conversation makes you stop and think about the things you've been putting off, whether it's a book, a business, homework. Maybe it's finally just taking the first step towards something that you've wanted for years. Whatever it is, don't let it stay an idea. You know firsthand from both of our experiences that opportunities are on the other side of follow through. So, if you enjoyed this conversation, I'd love it if you shared it with someone who needs to hear it. You'd never know whose life could change because of one conversation or one decision to finally take action. And as always, intention doesn't change anything, putting it into action does.